Welcome, everyone. This is Piney Fiddles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin.
Hi.
Harry Endes.
Hey, everybody.
Maven.
Hey, y'all.
And Sanswinda.
Hello.
And this week our news is Update 20.1.2.
Yeah.
Where there were a few small changes.
Just a couple.
And the first of these had to do with the browser on how that operates for the store, where now you can bring in an in-game browser instead of using the external one.
Yay!
Yeah, which apparently it's not working for some people, but it works just fine for me, so I'm so happy to see that back.
Yes. Unfortunately, what they did in order to bring it back apparently is not compatible with some 32-bit systems. So they are having some trouble with players who are using 32-bit systems where the game will either not launch or crash out immediately.
Oh.
And there was also another issue, I can't remember the details of that had, I think, to do with Vista 64 or something like this, but I'm less clear as to what that situation is. There are threads of it all over the place inside the forums discussing the matter. But there are workarounds for these items, and they are given inside the launcher. Now, you can bring up the launcher. Actually, yeah, so you can be in the launcher, and there's a notice inside of there. So please read the notice in the launcher if you have trouble starting up the game, especially if you have a 32-bit operating system. And also, they did a swap out on the featured instances. The Barrett Goldar is replacing Flight to the Lonely Mountain.
Which is actually a good thing, because BG is way more entertaining than wading through waves of mobs in Lonely Mountain.
Boy, no kidding. I pretty much inspected every person at pub. You know, during that minute and a half and minute and three-quarters, I just sit around and inspect everybody. You know, so it's like,
What's in this outfit? Oh, how does that look on my character?
Well, and also look and see, what kind of essences do they have, and what jewelry do they have? And,
I almost never look at anybody's gear when I inspect them. I'm only ever looking at, what is this person wearing? What have they got in their wardrobe?
Yes.
What do all their outfits look like?
What do all their outfits look like? Yeah, I never look at the actual gear.
Usually I only look at outfits also, though occasionally I'm wondering if maybe I should look at their gear and just say, okay, how much better is their gear than mine?
Yeah. Or I'm like, oh, I have better essences in my gear than they do.
Oh, no, that'll never be the case.
Well, I found myself.
We all know where my priorities are.
I found myself highly amused trying on all the outfits from the tall people on my little hobbit.
Oh, gosh.
It makes a difference.
It does. It makes a big difference. Some of them look great on the tall people and not really hobbity.
Yes.
Looks more like I was playing in somebody else's wardrobe, which I kind of was.
Also, they noted that the 10th anniversary Dragon Firework now plays a bit longer so that you can see the full animation.
But you know what they didn't do? They didn't fix the Tar Crypt shield.
No, they did not fix the Tar Crypt shield.
So annoying.
Well,
It's always
hopefully they'll
something.
get to that. Maybe hopefully they'll take care of that when they take care of our next little issue. And that is concerning the ratings and vitality contribution calculations, where they made some changes on the back end to work. Essentially, one thing was to boost a couple of classes on their vitality side, and the other one was to prepare the scale so that it will work properly with the planned updates for Mordor. And unfortunately, somebody forgot that there were level 106 to 108 mobs in some of the existing instances, and those mobs certainly got a lot tougher.
Ooh.
Now, the dev in question did say that, all right, maybe we should change those to 105 miles. We'll see. They'll probably have to have an update at some point then in order to bring those mobs down to 105. And that's probably the main thing they're going to do on the matter. But when they do that, maybe they could...
Maybe they'll sneak in the fix for the Tarkrip shield, yeah.
Yeah, Tarkrip shield, and maybe sneak into things so that you don't have to do any workarounds in order to get your browser to work properly.
Gump's getting in the chat, says the Orcs ate their Wheaties.
The Orcs ate their... That is exactly the case. The Orcs ate their Wheaties, and we also have a new NPC to barter anniversary rewards. She is a new NPC because I don't remember her, but because I think it was a woman who was doing it during the anniversary event, right?
In Bree, yeah.
Yeah, because now it's now there's a Hobbit there doing it.
I also noticed one in Galt. Well, that was a few updates ago. One in Galtrev doing the same thing.
Yeah, but that was probably only during the time of the anniversary.
No, it was after. It was actually after the event was over. That's
oh,
why
after the event was over.
Yeah. But it was the exchange. I think it was the token exchange, not anything else. Is the one at the party tree actually have like swag?
No, the one. Yeah, I'm talking about the one in Bree.
On Bree, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
swag,
near the board. Yeah, she carries swag.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this one was just a token exchange.
It was the Keeper of Gifts. There was one in Rivendell too.
Yeah. I think they could be that they're permanent now or something like this. I can't remember on the Keepers of Gifts, but right now, yeah. Anyway, Verbena Greenhand, she's near where the anniversary vendors were hanging out during the anniversary, and she will... Essentially, she has the same things that you would have been able to get during the anniversary. Or at least as far as I remember.
So it's not too late to get that goat.
Yeah, I
provided you
noticed that the goat is in the list of things she has.
Oh, is it? Oh,
sweet.
Yeah. Okay. Oh.
Well, you have to have tokens because it's bound on acquire, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It's bound to character on acquire, so yes.
So I can't transfer it to a low-level alt. Bummer.
Yeah, I wish.
No.
You have to have that low-level alt to actually do the scavenger hunt stuff.
Which
is problematic.
Yeah. Except
still annoying.
Except that we now found out that we can get level 35s and up to Minas Tirith. Yay!
Woo!
Yeah, that was super fun.
No, I found out that the mustering horn outside of after battle Minas Tirith, you can muster people 35 and up. We did not know that at the time.
Because that is unusual behavior for mustering horns.
Yeah, and then you just have to run into Minas Tirith and take the horse to, pre-battle Minas Tirith. And
oh my gosh.
I know, after all we went through, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, hey, but now we know,
Now we know. She's such a good sport.
I love her lack of enthusiasm when she says that was so much fun.
No, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
All right. Anybody else have anything they wish to note concerning the release notes? All right. I should note, though, that at the bottom of the page on the release notes, they do list the known issues concerning the investigating reports on the launcher issues. Windows 7 and higher, they suggest that you get rid of SweetFX utility program because apparently that's not compatible with the system. And they suggest that you get rid of that. And on the third-party side, where they have the workaround on the 32-bit systems not being quite right on that. But as I said, that'll be at the bottom of the release notes. You can get that from the link in the show notes. So let's head to the LOTRO Beacon.
Where Pineleaf got a mention.
Yay! I know him.
Finally.
Awesome.
Him, her.
And now we can all say we knew her, him, then,
Like, Pineleaf and I, we're like that.
All right. Anything? Well, anyone want to? Terry? How about you giving us a rundown on the beacon?
Well, top of the beacon, Weatherstock 9 is approaching. There's a link to where you can learn more about the event. If you've never heard of Weatherstock, you should definitely go to Weatherstock because it's awesome. Also, band applications are open through the 12th of June. Let's see, Minstrel Guild of Bree is doing Brandywine Summer Music Fest next weekend. There is a 10th anniversary concert on Arkenstone this weekend. Some more concerts mentioned. And then the Pine Leaf Poem. In the Kin Hall, they talk about Defiance, which is an Evernight-based kinship that likes to complete personal challenges, make cool videos, and have fun. There's a link to a recent video. And if you want to have your Kin Hall featured, there's a link in the beacon for where to send email. For Fansite News, they talked about our most recent episode of LOTRO Players News. Light the Beacons gets a mention. Maiden of Rohan, who is on the LOTRO stream team, has a mention. Also, Fibro Jedi has a tutorial video for how to get your first horse and riding skill, which is awesome. The Bearded Minstrel also got a mention, which that's a new blog that it's on my list of stuff to talk about at some point. Let's see. They talk about Chance Thomas. They talk about the upcoming anniversary soundtrack, which we should probably talk about the 10th anniversary. 10th anniversary commemorative soundtrack has been released. There's a link to it in the beacon. It's awesome. Bunch of Chance Thomas music.
That was the promised big news for this week, right?
That was the promised big news for this week, yes.
Yes.
And then screenshot of the week is somebody submitted a screenshot, which, well, he found somewhere somebody had, I guess, tweeted a screenshot. Due to the changes in the housing hooks, because you can elevate stuff up off the ground, somebody managed to create the appearance of bunk beds, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
It is really
That's
cool. I
great.
have no idea how she managed to do it because I just don't have the patience for it, but that's really cool.
Yeah. Now, I've noticed that the floor is gold coins.
Oh, it is.
Gold coins, or is it? Oh, it is gold coins. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was gold coins or if it was autumn leaves, but you're right, it is coins.
It looks like gold. And I have to
It could be
notice-
Malloran leaves.
Yeah. The main reason why I immediately thought of gold coins is because I had recently joined a kin, and they have one of those island kin houses.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Oh, the Belfalis Bank Vault, yeah.
Yeah, the super big Belfalis Bank Vault. And I went into there, and one of the sections of the floor is one of those.
Because it's
Nice.
a bank vault.
It's coins. Yeah, I guess it fits it
'Cause
being a
it's
bank
a
vault.
bank
right. Well, that
Well,
would be more
apparently-
literally than most.
I guess that's a drop you get from Drygok, because when I was in there, folks were like, "Oh, this sounds like my house." As we're running around, and the coins are making coin noises.
That's great.
So I guess it's a drop from there.
And I love the weekly comment. Now I need to click on the link so that I can see some of the forum responses. But the weekly comment this week is, what is the easiest way to annoy an elf?
By not being one.
Exist.
Ooh.
Yeah, pretty much.
Be a dwarf.
Let's-
Mock their lack of beards.
Ooh.
Ooh.
My current favorite way to annoy an elf is to talk about that boring elf book that I didn't read. You know, the Silmarillion one.
Yeah. Talk about the boring elf book that you didn't read. Yes.
Let's see. Oh, here's another response. By putting the elf in a fellowship with 4 hobbits, 2 men, 1 dwarf, and an Astari wizard. That would do it.
Someone else said, tell him he reminds you of a dwarf you know.
Ouch!
Oh, that's great.
Ouch! High cruelty. High cruelty. All right.
Yeah,
Anybody
no
else have anything they wish to
Ask
discuss?
them what gender they are.
Oh,
And
snap.
I'm done.
Ouch!
One last one. Ask them if they know Spock. Kind of bending the fandoms here, but okay.
Okay, how about butchering their language.
I could do it. As I'm thinking about this, I keep hearing in my head the "pray that your need is worthy of my time." I've got to say, maybe they'd be pretty annoyed if you kept coming to them with needs that weren't actually worthy of anybody's time.
Well, which is funny because, they have all the time in the world.
It is.
Yeah.
And they're like, don't waste my time,
You could be like, hey, have you seen my pipeweed pouch? I don't have one. Or, I don't know, just random stupid things you could come up with.
I keep hearing Terry Adwin in my head going, stupid human!
I know. You could try pulling pranks on them like, hey, look, your shoe's untied.
Man, there's a reason why I read that quest dialogue in the high, flatty, stupid human voice.
Yep. I will forever do that from now on.
Oh, I've got it. A hobbit who needs help finding their shoes. Because they could only find one of them. Because they never wear them.
A hobbit looking for their shoes. Yes. I presume you don't mean a store.
Hello, Mr. Elf. Can you help me find my other shoe, please? I don't know where I lost it.
I lost it somewhere. It was amongst the trees with, the leaves. That kind of, I don't know.
I think that means it's time to head for the store sales.
Yes.
Here, what's for sale this week?
Bunch of stuff I have zero interest in, but the Skill and Slayer D-Boost ×1 that you get with the coupon code SKILLDOOR, SKILLDOR, very clever. That's the free sample this week, and then 30% off a bunch of crafting stuff. Everybody knows Terry doesn't do crafting. Crafting guild access, ingredient packs, crafting accelerators, and rapid crafting tiers and recipe books. Yay.
I can hear the excitement in your voice.
Uh-huh. I don't do crafting.
Then that means it's time to head into the site news. We'll head into the community events calendar for this week. Wait a minute. This says May 26th to June.
That one's really
1st.
done.
Was that not this week?
Oh, there was a special note halfway through. I think this is a repost of last week's because it says halfway through, this column will be on hiatus next week, so the listing will return on June 9th. So I think, are there any events? No, we don't have one for this week, I guess.
All right. All right, so it was out for this week. Why, did she go to Mizmood or something?
Probably.
Possibly.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
I know Die Vogel was this weekend on Arkenstone. And next week is the Summer Music Fest on Brandywine. Shirefest is in 2 weeks on Crick Hollow. And get your band registrations in for Weatherstock by the 12th of June.
All right, then it's time to head into the Family Line Part 137, Corollaries. Corollaries? Okay, that's an interesting title. Not exactly a title I would expect to see in a MMO.
Well, you have to understand that the series has been going for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if Tim is starting to run out of titles.
Okay, that could almost be a corollary. If you're running out of titles, you're going to be scrounging for them. I mean, if you're been running a long time, you're starting to run out of titles. Yes.
But the very first screenshot, I mean, I know that I talk about the screenshots for these a lot, but he really does have some really, really good ones to go along with this. So the screenshot at the top is my favorite.
Yeah, you finding the perfect place in order to get these, because that's the
Yeah, that's up on a hillside overlooking Numinous.
yeah. It's a really nice angle too.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's not an easy angle to get as somebody who's found that angle by getting lost in Evandale.
Uh-oh.
All right, let's then head into Brax's Memorial Pick of the Week.
Which is actually Terry's pick of the week, which is LOTRO Legendarium 7 Abandoned LOTRO Features, which is an article that was posted on Massively OP today about 7 features in the game that the author said had been abandoned by the devs. And the reason I picked
haven't gotten any
this,
lovely recently.
well, they have definitely not gotten any love recently. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is because A, we have kind of a light week, and B, it's kind of worth talking about, especially number 1, because one of the top feature, the number 1 feature mentioned in the game is one that everybody knows has basically been abandoned. It was even confirmed during their 10th anniversary stream that there are literally no plans whatsoever at this time to make more of them. So hobbies, which should not actually even read hobbies, it should just read hobby because we only have one, and it's fishing. And they have no plans whatsoever to introduce more hobbies to the game.
That's right.
The looking for group tool, I don't know that it's necessarily something that was abandoned by the devs. I think it's just something that players
by
have.
The players.
Yeah, it's something that players have. They're using the LFF channel to assemble parties, and why is that a bad thing?
Yeah,
I mean, I would actually rather have some kind of communication than put myself in a queue and not have the slightest clue what I'm getting into, honestly.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why a lot of players felt. In fact, it was the lashback from the looking for group tool that caused players to first ask for a world channel and then later on for splitting it off into the LFF channel that we have today.
Yeah. And then number 3 is skirmishes, and this one I definitely agree with because skirmishes are awesome, and we haven't gotten any since 2009.
2009? No, we've gotten some since 2009.
Not very many.
2009 is when we had Siege of Mirkwood. In 2010, I believe, is when we got the Moria skirmishes.
Okay.
Then also around then, we of course got Rescue at Nurzga Shu. That was either late 2009 or no, actually no, that was in 2010 also. And after that, we got the Attack at Dawn and Icy Crevasse. I think a year. Actually, that's right, because that was because I remember I was doing stuff for Casual Stroll to Mordor that year, and I had my April Fool's joke, and that would have been about 2011 maybe, because my joke was that the new skirmish that they had announced was going to be Survival Hobbiton. And the idea
Oh, if only that was a thing.
And the idea there is that you're supposed to do various quests for the hobbits while you get all these brigands popping up, trying to, of course, scouring in the Shire. So this is during the takeover of the Hobbit by the chiefsmen, over Hobbiton by the chiefsmen and all that stuff. So
this needs to be a thing. Somebody needs to dig up that article and just throw it at the devs and say, "We need this skirmish. We really, really need this skirmish."
When they do the scouring of the Shire, they can.
Yeah, that can fit in with that.
I thought when you said Survival Hobbiton, I thought you were going to talk about it being a pie eating contest.
That's even better.
Yeah. Then
really,
after that, then a couple of years after that, so I would say about 2014 was it, I think, or maybe late 13 or 14 is when we got the Stormwell Methodist.
Okay, so it's been
because that's the most
since
recent
2009,
one,
but it's been a while. It's time for more.
Yeah. It's been a while, and it's a good time to have. There are a couple of places where I think we could have used it, and I personally think that Glittering Caves, instead of being an epic battle, I know
Should've
they were in
totally
love
been a
with epic battles
No,
at the
should have
time.
totally been a skirmish.
Yeah, that would make a beautiful skirmish. And based on what Gimli talks about, and in there, it sounds like something,
Glittering
a
Caves
situation
take
that would
2, the skirmish edition.
Yes. Glittering Caves 2 Skirmish Edition. I think that would be a thing. We could be there with Gimli, of course, and maybe he gets hurt just before the boss fight or something like that. So
Maybe we have
boss
to
fight
go
without
back
him.
in after wrapping up Mordor to clear out everything that's moved in there since the women and children were able to leave Helm's Deep and go back to their homes.
Right.
Ooh. And the dwarves
I'm
are going
good
to want
with
it
that.
back, so we could clear it out again.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 4 is Fellowship Maneuvers, which we can also agree with because Fellowship Maneuvers was introduced with launch and basically hasn't really been updated since because they're great up until about level 50, and then that's where the advantages cap at. So there's not really any bonus for using them past level 50. In fact, a lot of groups that run at cap, if they use Fellowship Maneuvers at all, they basically it's an additional stun that you have in your arsenal.
Right.
I use
Right.
it. Glordriel ends up running low on. So if I have one pop up while I'm fighting and she's level capped, I'll hit the blue.
Yeah.
to give
Yeah,
myself more
it's good for power.
Yeah, blue
And
for
morale.
power, especially if you're in a skirmish such as the survival Barrel Downs, where you don't have time to rest.
Or you have a lore master who's not bothering to share the power.
Or you have,
Dang.
right. So in that case, then using blue on there, or occasionally maybe for green if you're light on the healer side or something like that. So those are the
Right.
occasions where you
Right.
might use it. Of course, you also need it if you're doing Rescue at Nurzgashu, or if you're doing Dragiak, of course, they're needed for that bit. They're part of the mechanism for the dungeon, and it's not because you want doing it for the Fellowship maneuver yourself. It's because, well,
Although Nurse
Well,
you
for-
actually don't have to.
Yeah, for rescue you don't actually have to because eventually the game will just say fine, you can go through.
I know that's not skirmishing responsibly.
Tested
but-
that. Yes,
yeah.
not skirmishing responsibly, but we did test it. It's actually kind of sad because when Sarissa and company were leveling up on their way to 50, where we capped for ages, we actually learned all the different fellowship rotations, like all the different things you can do in fellowships, and some of the buffs that you get are pretty cool because if you go around the circle, like if you start with blue and go around the circle and end up with blue again, so if you do 5 and you start with blue and end with blue, it summons 2 Oathbreakers temporarily to help fight with you.
Wow,
That's
no kidding.
cool.
Yeah, it's really nifty.
That's
And there's a
neat.
whole bunch of other neat things that happen. So, yeah, Sarissa actually is the only character I have that has almost all of them unlocked, if not all of them, because we did a lot of work learning those combinations when we were coming up to 50.
We should do that on girls sometime. You can get Sarissa out.
Well, it sort of requires a lot of coordination, which doesn't lend itself easily to girls.
yeah.
That's like 2 opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. If you want an Oathbreaker, then you're probably better off just trying for 5 red and a blue. I think it brings up an Oathbreaker, if I recall correctly.
Interesting.
But
That's
I think
not bad.
it only brings up 1. I think it's under the control of whoever hit the blue at the end. So it's
But
usually,
yeah.
I think, the minstrel or whoever is the one that tends to be last in it. Usually assigned someone to be last.
On the other hand, this is one that I know has been brought up fairly frequently whenever Cordovan streams and asks for questions from chat. They poke at him about fellowship maneuvers. So it's one of probably the only one on the list that actually has had the devs saying, yeah, we could maybe take a look at it.
We just wish that they
So,
actually had time to do so.
Not
yeah.
not necessarily dead, just obviously Mordor's kind of a priority right now. Number 5 on the list is Destiny points, which I didn't quite get because the author of the article actually says that Destiny points was dismantled. They said you used to accumulate it and then you could spend it on special buffs. Well, actually, you still accumulated it if you're VIP.
Yeah.
Actually, I think you still accumulate it even if you're not VIP. You just can't spend it unless you're VIP.
Yeah. Yeah, what they did dismantle was its tie to PvMP.
Right.
Because that used to be how you would rank up your monster character. In fact, some people would get the bulk of their Destiny points by doing PvMP.
Yeah, I actually still use Destiny points quite a bit because among the things you can get with them, you can get like an XP boost. You can get the run speed buff that occasionally drops out of Hobbit presence, but if you're on an alt that doesn't have run speed boost and you have some Destiny, because you've got other alts somewhere that have leveled up, you can throw away Destiny on that. If I'm really in a pinch, and I've died in a skirmish and I'm upset because I died in a skirmish because I shouldn't have, I will use it to buy off the little debuff that you get that reduces your marks medallions that you get for completing the skirmish. That one's expensive.
Yeah. Which is, I think, why I never bothered to get that one.
It's expensive. I don't do it very often, just if it's one of those things like the reason I died was something stupid on my part. Because that debuff doesn't go away otherwise unless you've timed it out for hours and hours and hours.
Or until you
complete
win
a skirmish.
Yeah.
So speaking of PvMP is the next thing on the list.
Certainly neglected.
It's definitely neglected. They take a look at it every so often. And then they introduced a second map, which didn't get the reception that everybody hoped that it would. Honestly, if you're looking for a game to PvMP if you're looking for a game to PvP in,
this is not the game.
Probably not really the game for you if that's your sole focus. It's okay to escape into once in a while, but it's really not what most people are in the game for.
There's plenty of other games out there that are way better for PvP.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't have, I mean, other than the names and the like classes and it doesn't have really a lot to do with lore.
No, it really kind of doesn't. For one thing, the Etmors in particular is considered to be set before the rest of the game, I think.
Right.
And then number 7 on the list is mounted combat, which, yeah, they haven't really done much with mounted combat since it was introduced, and yes, it's very laggy, but I'm probably one of the few people that doesn't hate mounted combat. I think probably because I invested entirely too much in learning how to fight from a horse. Yeah. Especially since the first character that I experienced mounted combat with is probably one of the worst characters to experience mounted combat with because it was a champion, which I have next to no range. I mean, I've got like one range skill, which doesn't do me a whole lot of good. Nope. And so I spent a lot of time learning how to fight on horseback. Because if you're fighting other enemies who happen to be on horseback is also where you want to be.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they ride in circles around you and you can't really catch them on foot. And yeah. Also, it's a lot of fun on a squishy character because if you're on mounted combat and a minstrel, it's a fantastic way to aggro everything on the map.
Certainly,
and I do mean everything on the map.
And that's the thing about mounted is they still have enemies because even as far as it's not the most recent area, but the area before that, North of Thilian, you have been getting mobs that need mounted combat against them. So you still every once in a while run in. Actually, maybe not North Italy. Actually,
Not
I
North
was thinking
Italy.
about. I was thinking. Sorry, I was thinking of the area near the Pelennor Fields when you are going up to now the Kritost or that place area there where there are all those mounted mobs.
The area north of Minas Tirith.
Yeah, and there's a epic story quest that require where I think there is actually one phase where you have to kill mounted mobs, so it's a real pain. But yeah, they still occasionally have things in there that require you to actually use your horse. But I think a lot of people, do it only when absolutely necessary.
Well, I know a lot of characters that have ranged skills prefer to just mow stuff down from foot. But, I mean, if you're a melee character and you have to fight a mounted enemy, just being on horseback is going to be better. It took a lot of practice, and it turns out that tutorial thing that you get in Harwick, it's worth doing multiple times when you first get your war steed, because when you take the tutorial the first time, you only have one skill. So they try teaching you mounted combat with only one skill. So you really have to do it again once you get your other skills after you've completed the tutorial, so that you learn what those other skills are.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Very good point on that matter.
But yeah, most people just use it as a faster way to travel because especially the light horse, once it's traded up, is pretty fast.
Yes, but since I so rarely use the light horse, then I say, okay, I just decide, don't bother. Half the time I just mount up. The class that I'm most likely to mount up on a war steed is my burglar, because I can go in stealth while on a war steed.
Oh, but light horse for the burglar. Why not a light horse for the burglar? You want to be as mobile as possible.
Because I always run into power issues, and I find it's a lot easier, and I find it's a lot easier to maintain power when I am on a medium.
Oh no, for me it was light. Especially if you're running around in stealth, you want to be as maneuverable as possible.
Anyone else have any comments about these 7 items? Then let's continue on with our new player question.
So we kind of already answered the new player question. My question was, what are destiny points? So please rewind and re-listen for this segment.
So we did answer your question in all that discussion, destiny points? Okay, good. Then let's head into our week in LOTRO. And Terry Adwin, what were you up to when you weren't going through a list of 7 items that were abandoned?
Well, I did more lists. I completed a year 7 list, and then I completed a year 8 list on Land of Alteri, so she's current with a scavenger hunt. Got my...
You have your pig. You got your pig.
I got my pig. Got my pig. I got my Hobbit mini Pepper out to run the Bells of Dale instance with Wiggin and friends, which was fun. We did that on stream. That was a lot of, obviously looking at architecture. Of course, Corey's looking at architecture, and my little Hobbit's overlooking at the food.
That was funny. So we're in the marketplace, right? Yeah, and he's looking at like, the awnings and the buildings, and all of a sudden Pepper says, "Hey, there's cheese over here." And I'm like, "Leave it to the Hobbit."
Well, the architecture and the awnings and stuff are not really Pepper's priority. She's invested in looking at the food. And then earlier today, I burgled around Moria some more on my Arkenstone burglar without getting completely lost, mostly. He is, did some more of the epic story until they told him to go down to the Silvertine Lodes again, because he's already been down there once or twice. And so he's now up to where the garden area is in Durin's Way, Thurak Bazan. I didn't write Thurak Bazan in the show notes because I couldn't remember how to spell it and didn't feel like looking it up. But that's the area it is. It's the garden of Moria. So yes, for those that have not been into Moria, there's a reason to go, because there's a garden in Moria. So, Sans Window, what were you up to?
Well, I went back to running away from Nurzum during the field trip this week. And we picked back up the Wildermore group and went to buy our tour. And I actually saw Nurzum this time. Like, the first time I was going through, I was so scared I just started running. But this time, I was like, oh, look, there's Nurzum. Oh, look. Hi, Nurzum. I waved at him. It was nice. And then we followed the little glowy things, patches that said, this way. So, and then they said, jump over a cliff. And we jumped over a cliff, and, you know, when text notes tell you to do that,
tells you to... Yeah.
you jump and hope that it's not death. And I very bravely took an alt through the spider area of the old forest on level for the first time, and probably the last time. But that was interesting. Yeah, probably won't be repeating that, but it was interesting. And did a bunch of traveling. I visited some barrows I had never been to before to remember them. And I explored them. And a few of them I cringed through. And it was kind of fun. There was a deed for exploring one of them. And that was fun because I accidentally found the place I needed to find. And then managed to find it again after getting lost and having Terry help me get unlost.
Which was quite the feat because I was lost too.
It was. We were both lost. But we managed to get unlost in the end. And we ran some Moria instances that I had not enjoyed particularly when I went through them.
I was going to say, they weren't great remembrances, were they?
No, but it was much better with friends. So, that was fun. Erndis, what did you do this week?
This week, I started going through Moria. I haven't gotten lost yet, mostly, but I know it's coming. No, but so far, so good. It's been really interesting just to see the difference in almost mood from the rest of the game thus far, and it's been fun to go through. I ran some low-level quests with a friend that I kind of got into the game, and that kind of inspired me to pick up an old level 21 hunter and run through some of those areas again. And I still can't decide whether or not I'm going to run in blue line or red line. I've tried both, and I can't figure it out. I don't know if it's something that I'm doing wrong or if I just can't kite right. So we'll see.
Try yellow.
Try
Yellow's
yellow.
awesome.
Yeah, you're used to running a champion, so you're used to being like in the melee, so it's not instinctual to just pew everything down before it gets to you.
Yeah.
Try yellow. Yellow's a lot of close-up stuff because traps.
I recommend if you're going to have to do blue and yellow. Blue and yellow is a good, because they give you, it gives you a lot of options.
You can go faster in blue, and you can run and shoot at the same time, which is really handy when you go back to Deed.
Provided you're able to coordinate the running and shoot. I can't. I run Brennan.
And the yellow is really good for the crowd control.
Yellow is great
Terry
for
was
CC.
saying, with the
and far enough in there, you get one where every time you evade, you drop a trap. Like every.
I call that scares the trap out of you.
Oh.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll have to try that. So, but that was basically my week. Maven, what did you do this week?
Well, I leveled a new mini to 21.
Hey.
So I went far enough to get my satellite strike, and that was awesome. I love running around yelling at things and making them keel over. I got all of Glordrail's preferred virtues up to 19. Yay!
That is quite an achievement.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Huh? I mean, I had to look up, what deeds I needed to do to top off the last few. So I put on that accelerator and ran around in blue line, as Sanswin mentioned. Ran around and shot things until I got my all my stuff. And then after doing Dale with Pepper, which she already talked about, Terry signed off, and we went over to Minas Tirith with Wigan, with Corey. And but we were running out of time because the hotel at Mythmoot, wanted everybody to clear out so they could clear up. So anyway, so first we looked at the compost pile in the stables in Minas Tirith. That was really my fault because somebody said to Corey, "Hey, there's a stable here." He goes, "Oh, let's go see it." And he walks in, and he goes, "There's actually a field here," and I'm like. Me, who owns horses in real life, said, "Yeah, there's got to be a compost pile here somewhere because this grass is way too clean for horses to be here." So we found the guy with the compost pile, and then
Corey called him a poop smith.
Oh gosh.
And then we ended up
so hard.
and then we ended up riding our horses all the way up to the prow with Corey all the way up going, I'm not looking at this, and I'm not looking at that, and I'm not looking at this, because we had to do it fast because the hotel went. So he was like, and he'd never been. The thing is, it was rough for him because he'd never been in Minas Tirith as a human. He'd been in as a chicken, which he couldn't go into anything as a chicken, And I mean, it's like, so now he actually could look at stuff, but he couldn't. So anyway, then we rode our war steeds off the prow, so that was really fun. So yeah,
He's
so that
so
was
funny and so good. He's like, "Look at this thing that I'm not looking at. I'm not stopping."
Yeah. I'm assuming that it won't happen until after Mythwood's over. So sometime next week, I'm sure that the video from that will get uploaded onto the Signum University YouTube channel. And I mean, if you want to, it should be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the other thing with Bells of Dale is I had said to him, we could run through the instance and then you can go back through the town and look. Oh no. Every time we cleared one area out, he had to then stop and look at everything before we went on to the next area.
Nice.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so it's pretty funny. He was really hilarious. We had a good time. How about you, Pine Leaf? Take us home,
First off,
Pine Leaf.
Concerning the video, though, they could go to Twitch and see it it should be a highlighted video right now.
That's true. Yeah, you can go to Twitch, the Signum U channel on Twitch, and it'll be a highlighted video. That's true. If you don't want to wait. Yeah. And it's worth it. Do it now. Don't wait.
So funny. So funny.
Actually, Monica, I don't know if you were there, Pine Leaf, but Monica was saying, she said, did you hear everybody like clapping and cheering? And I'm like, no, not at all. Because it was alive. It was actually a live, people, live.
I was watching the stream, and yeah, I could hear what was going on.
Oh yeah, I couldn't hear.
I could actually hear some of the cheering and clapping.
Could you? I know at one point I heard cheering and clapping, and I don't remember if it was when we killed the boss. I think it was when we killed the boss, wasn't it? The final boss? I don't remember. But I know there was
I think there was something.
I know there was a lot of laughing when he was talking about the awnings.
Yes. That was really funny. Oh, and we found, I honestly think it's an Easter egg. We found a door in Dale that I swear looks just like the door to the TARDIS in Doctor Who. Oh my goodness. It was amazing. So anybody wants to know, let me know. I'll tell you where it is. But I was like, that's got to be on purpose because it was so much like the TARDIS. Anyway, so Pine Leaf, take us home.
Very well. I'll begin with what I did in general, and that is I now have a character of every class at 105.
Wow.
Such an overachiever.
Yeah. With that done, then on Crick Hollow, I'm still on my quest to get a happy deed log. So therefore, I cleared out my deed log for Ivendim. And while trying to go and through all there, the last thing I had to worry about were those pesky treasures. Because I was all nice and happy and found, you have found the treasure. Who deed?
Oh.
Now, I have to tell you that going all over the place, looking for all those treasure chests, there was absolutely no way in the world I was going to do that for, I don't know how long it would have taken me without resorting to the internet. So I've just looked it up online, and even then it's a bit of a challenge getting all those things. One of them said, it on such and such an island near Floyd and DeWitt. Oh, that's where Floyd and DeWitt are on Evendem. So I went out there, took out of there, found Floyd and DeWitt on that island. New deed. Floyd and DeWitt. What do you mean, new deed?
Now the game's just trolling you, Pineleaf. Now it's just trolling you. It's like, look, he's almost done. Oh, quick, somebody make a new deed.
Well, fortunately, Floyd and DeWitt, of course, is not an Evendem one, so that doesn't count against my clearing out the Evendem. But that does mean that I'm now going to have to find. Well, I did go out to find the one that was up on to the one on Weathertop, which I've seen on many of my other characters, so I knew where that one was. And I had accidentally run into the one in Eregion while I was doing the anniversary a couple weeks ago, so I had no trouble going there. And I've been to the one in Moria enough times on several characters. So I'm just surprised that my main character had not been to either the Moria one or the...
Maybe it was added before your character went, or after your character went through those areas?
Yeah, but I thought I had a few
There's a
characters
Forakel
that
one,
had
too.
gone back to them. But yeah, it obviously they were added after I've been through those areas. But I'm just still surprised that I had never gone with, because I had visited them with several other characters, and I thought some of them that were at the higher level. Also, then I went to Forakel and cleared out just about everything there. I cleared out all of the deeds except for the one with the pesky treasure one, which I now need to finish up. But other than that, I got them all done. Now, the last of the deeds, other than the treasure one, of course, are the Grims. And you can guess that in order to finish up the Grims, I went and ran the Icy Crevasse.
Of course.
Of course. And that took care of that side. Then I also, on Monday, because it was a holiday, I decided to actually watch Stine's stream live. And I thought, well, maybe I should just go and actually play my Evernight character, because I've been stuck in the Forsaken Inn for about two months now, I think, where I haven't gone past there in any way. So I logged on to Evernight, joined Stine's Kin, which is the one that has the island kin house with the coins all over the floors. So just to see how things are. So now that means that I am now leveling another character, because I've reached up to level 29, because I'm going out in the Lone Lands, where I just finished that quest where you have to go and kill those stupid war singers in order to get those sigils.
Oh yeah, I hate that one.
Yeah, that real annoying quest. So I just finished that up. No, of course. So those are my 3 highlights in LOTRO. Of course, my real highlight for the week is not technically inside LOTRO, and that was, of course, being at Mythmoot and meeting a few people and listening to a few papers as they're being presented. And today, for example, we're having a presentation on various people giving summaries of their thesis. So we're hearing some of them and having opportunities of questioning them. Like, one of them gave a thesis related to the transference of how heroes are, because apparently heroes before a certain point tended to be very larger than life, like Aragorn. And in more recent fantasy, how they tend to be a bundle of brokenness, so to speak, because there's always something. So he was discussing that phenomenon there. The next one was talking about the Doctor. Some things about Doctor Who. I can't remember the details at the moment or whatever, but it was talking about the Doctor and certain things, aspects on how the Doctor relates to the general fantasy elements and stuff like that. So yes, you don't have a magic mirror, instead you have a TARDIS, but pretty much the same thing. And one was talking about Tolkien's views on his general political views. And apparently, there hasn't been too much study on these specific areas where she was, which is. And I'm trying to think what the fourth. Oh, that's right. The fourth one was relating things into literature with proxology, and of course the first thing I was like, what in the world is proxology? So trying to bring, apparently proxology is used a lot in sociology and economics, but has not been brought into literature all that much. So he's working on trying to bring proxology, which is the study of how things are done, and trying to bring that into literature. And I think he sort of like opened up a lifetime of research or something like that on that one, because that's going to be a big bundle of mess. And that's my quick report from Mythmood. I'm sure you'll hear a lot more when the videos go up, because I'm sure that Sigmund will be posting a lot of this stuff up. We currently have 23 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious raid of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention of the podcast of your choice, or even be a guest with for an episode of LOTRO Players News. This week we did not receive any emails, but if you'd like to send us one, you can send it to podcast@lotraplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, Lotro Players @Lotro Players, Ariendus @Ariendus, Forte @Forte_Maestro, Maven @Tolkien Maven, Pineleaf @Pineleaf Mules, Sanswinda @Sanswinda, and Terry Adwin @Terry Adwin. The Players Alliance has 4 live shows every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time via DDO Players News, but please note that this week the show will be late for DDO Players News, probably around 9:30 or maybe in 10:30, because Drek has a special event this week. On the first and third Friday of each month at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, we have XP Quest. On the last Friday of each month at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotro Academy After School. And every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotro Players News. You can join us for our live shows at lotroplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pineleaf Mules reminding you to skirmish responsibly.